Good afternoon. Mic me. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Jay Pryor, and it is my honor, and privilege to be here today to celebrate, to reflect on, to embrace the life, the human spirit that was Chris Hartman. So for those of you who are not members of the Unity community, especially those of you who may not have been in touch with Chris for a while, or you don't know that he has been an integral part of this community since at least 2013. You may have a little bit of a weird experience today. So I'm just going to let you know up front that we do things a little differently here. You'll notice that there's no cross, that there's a tree, that we believe that there is only one power and presence in the universe. Some people call it God, I call it love. And that presence flows in and through all of us. We at Unity believe that there is no heaven and there is no hell. That heaven and hell are states of consciousness. And I know Chris well enough to know that he lived through some hell in this lifetime. And now he is in the state of consciousness that some people might call heaven, but we call pure bliss. And the first weirdest thing that we like to do to honor and celebrate and just let him know, because we also believe and know that when we go, we slip out of this thing I like to call your skin bag, and we become pure positive energy, and we can be everywhere all the time. We are one with this force, and Chris has become one with that force. And so in Unity, we celebrate, we love, and that's what we're here to do today. So welcome, welcome, welcome to all of your Unity community who's here to celebrate our friend and member, Chris, and those of you who are his friends and his family. Thank you for being here today. We like to start off with a brief prayer. And in Unity, we do affirmative prayer. So if we just take a moment and take a centering breath, and we breathe in that divine spirit that is and moves and has our being, and we affirm and know that Chris is with us today and that his life meant so much to so many of us, and that we know and affirm that while we will never and do not ever try to get over his loss, we know that we honor him in our grief and our tears, and we affirm that his spirit is living and breathing us every single day that we see a Santa and a motorcycle. We'll be reminded of him and his spirit and his joy, and most of all, his biggest heart. And so, Spirit, we ask you today to be with us, to help us celebrate, to allow us to grieve, to allow us to know that while we have had this loss, we are also present to the joy that this human being was and is. We know that as we move through this day and through the rest of this Christmas season, as it is so appropriate that this is his time and will forever be his time of remembrance, that we will hold him in our hearts as we move forward, and we will create community, because today is a day when the people that are in this room will never be the same people in this room again. These people here today with you, Chris, and for you, Chris, will never be together again. So this, we affirm, is an occasion to be remembered, to be celebrated, and to be noted. And we ask for that blessing of spirit, And we know that all we have to do is ask, and it is given. And so it is. Thank you for taking that time with me for a moment. The other thing that we like to do to celebrate when somebody moves on, because we are so excited for them. We know that this is great stuff here on this plane, but we also know that once we slip out of that skin bag, boy, is there just something so fantastic that they experience on the other side. So one of the things we love to do, and we hope that you'll join us because all the Unity people know that one of the best things we can do is say, job well done, my friend. You have touched the hearts of so many people, and the people in this room are just a drop in the bucket of human beings that Chris Hartman has touched, has loved, and has known. So, on your feet, people. Well done, friend! Well done! Woo! Well done! Yeah! Nice. Thank you, Father. Thank you. I know that, see, I told you it was a little weird. We're a little weird. Oh, good. Well, good. That's really good. We have a program set for you, and we hope that you enjoy this time. We are going to try to, there's a lot of folks here. We want to give you all an opportunity to share. I want to share just briefly. I've known Chris since I was in my 20s. I'm climbing on the back of 60, and I was climbing up to 30 when I met Chris. We've been friends for a very long time. But when he walked through the doors of Unity, and I was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, what are you doing here? We would joke all the time about the fact that the people who hung out with us back in those days would think it was pretty funny that we were showing up here every Sunday. But I know that his contribution to us and our contribution to him was hugely powerful. And so seeing him here every Sunday, most Sundays, lifted all of our spirits, and I know that we lifted him up. So thank you for being here. And as I mentioned before, we don't believe in heaven or hell. We believe that those are states of consciousness. We are a metaphysical church, so we interpret things metaphysically, not physical. And part of that interpretation is that we know that we are one with everything. And again, when we make our we like to say, make your transition or die. We slip out of this skin bag, and we know that it ain't the end, right? And today we have the enormous gift of Kelly Hunt being here to also celebrate with us and bring her music, her love, and her joy, because it ain't the end at the end.
Everybody feeling so somber and sad, with their heads hanging low, feeling mighty mad. Well, if they only knew what I know, they would jump right up and let the good times roll. Soul lives on and it never dies. It ain't over when it's over. And there's a better world waiting on the other side. Right there on the other side. This is not the end. I believe we're all gonna meet again. You just keep on smiling through the tears in your eyes. Ain't no reason to say goodbye, 'cause it ain't over when it's over. The soul lives on and it never dies. Yes, I will. Well, when the saints all go marching in, na, when the saints go marching in. Well, when the saints all go marching in, I know you'll be there. You're gonna be in that number. I believe you will. When the saints all go marching in. 'Cause don't you know it ain't over when it's over? The soul lives on and it never dies. It ain't over when it's over. I believe there's another world waiting for you, and it's right there on the other side. And I will see you
I'd like to invite Ann to come up now, if you'd like to share.
I was gonna talk about my brother, but I wrote it, and that stuff is on the literature that you got. It's a much better way to explain him. He lived, I don't think he was in peace since we were about 15. But he had great friends like Butch and Parrish and people like that, and amazing. We're like brothers, even when he's not even here. When I came here and we got the call, I thought I would arrive and it would be me and Parrish and Butch and Scott and Eli. That's who I thought would be here. Instead, it was this endless stream of people coming in, grown men leaving in tears. I don't even know, and it just blew me away. And over the past 5, 6 days, 7 days, however long it's been, I've forgotten. I'm fully convinced that we lived with Santa Claus, and I'm not. It's not even. It's like, man. I mean, I saw things in that hospital room where people that hadn't talked in a long time came together for his purpose. There were reunions, tears, families, his neighbors. I mean, my God, it just blew me away. I don't ever cry. I don't, even when our own mom died. I had to be there for him and for everybody, and I actually cried this time, and I think it's because I was mourning the loss of both of them, finally. And what I come across for my brother is he took this lifetime of pain, and I mean pain, man, and not just physical pain, many things that, we don't really need to talk about, and somehow he created, and it says in these two characters where people wouldn't bash his beautiful heart, because I think, as most of us know, if you live with your heart in this world, it's gonna get crushed. And you have to keep pulling yourself up. Well, that was hard for him. And because he really did love people. He would not change who he was. I mean, honestly, the guy had the worst phone in the world. The worst fucking phone in the world. And I offered many a time over the years to buy him an iPhone and pay for it. And he'd have me like, man, your phone's screwed up, mine's perfect. And I would just be, no, it's not. He unrelenting to change who he was, to his detriment. Unbelievable, beautiful stuff. And, I could pull out many things, but these are some of the things that happened during that. Parrish, who is his best friend, for years, went home to open the book after none of us looked at it in 10 years. I don't know if you know, he wrote a book called The Joint Smoking Rules book, if you don't know. And so Butch opens it up, and it's to rule number 66, which is, believe it or not, the hospital rule. And in that rule, when you go to the hospital and meet somebody, and remember this was the 90s when he wrote this, you need to bring 2 joints. One to smoke with the person in the hospital, and one to leave so they can get high later. And Parrish was like, damn, dude, we are in violation of the rules, man. And I was like, yeah, Parrish, but it's 2023 in Kansas. Let's get real, okay? And I asked the nurse there, Erin, I said, Erin, you ever had anybody do this? He said, man, I have to tell people to put out joints all the time. Can you believe it? Which blew me away. Long story short is, I'm amazed at how many people he really touched for somebody. I didn't think the guy had anybody in his life, right? And I mean, amazing. I want to thank you all for loving him and being there, the church. There's a few people I want to point out. Butch has been his longest time friend and is like a brother to me, even though we knew it, but we now know it. Parrish and Scott and Eli. But most of all, a couple of people, Betty. And I don't know if at the church, obviously, you know who Betty is. You know, I walk in one day, there's this lady sitting there. You know, she looks like a frail old lady. I'll say that again. And she's just holding his hand, and she was there for days, okay? And it just amazed me and her beautiful soul, and we really bonded. And there was many people like that. Like his neighbors just blew me away. And there's one couple, and I'll just say it's Ashley and Josh, and this is a couple that I'm blown away by. And I don't know if you know, but Chris left his most prized possession in the world, his motorcycle, to Josh's 2-year-old son. And in the will, it says, and you know, my brother wrote pretty colorfully for a will. I'm sure if he'd gone to a lawyer, they probably would have cleaned up the language a little bit. But it says that I leave my bike to Jace, and it says, but I guess I'm probably leaving it to Josh, because Jace can have it when he's 21 if he has the Spirit. And Josh will know. Oh, his dad will know. You know, and so it's a beautiful thing. An interesting thing about that is my brother, in his health, not very good over the last 3 months, found some kind of old motorcycle rocking horse thing. He completely redid it, painted it, looks like a brand new chopper, and he was going to give it to Jace this Christmas. So Ashley and Josh went and got it one night when he was still living and brought it to the room and let Jace get on it. And Chris actually woke up out of nowhere and looked at Jace and said, "Do you like it, buddy?" Went straight back down. The most times he was conscious, believe it or not, were when people would give prayer. And the last thing I knew, my brother was an atheist, all right? Yeah, it means he doesn't believe in God at all, okay? And so he walks through the door of here, and it changed his life, and I had no idea, and I appreciate all of you that gave him some kind of peace. When I couldn't see it, I left 20 years ago. I lived, 1,500 miles away. 7 years ago, me and him finally got through brother stuff. As a matter of fact, in one of the lines of my songs, it's, my brother, he used to beat me up. Through all the fucking shit, we still remain the best of friends. And it's true, and I'm sure people that have relatives know this. Families it's hard. You got to really want to be in love with people and figure them out. Lastly, I just really, I think sometimes maybe you folks saw more love in him than I actually did. I saw a lot of terror, a lot of hurt, a lot of things. And his close friends know this, but I don't know of anybody that's got such a heart. And I loved him. I really did. And I just want to thank Ashley and Josh for giving him in those last years. Like, I'm sure he felt like a grandfather, and if you don't know, if you ever become one, it's just the greatest thing that will ever happen to you. And I'm just so grateful to them and to all of you, and I appreciate everything. Thank you.
This will be my freedom. freedom day, my freedom day. Free, oh, my freedom day. I am free. I smile to see how far I've come. Now I know my work is all done. Lay down the burden and celebrate, for all is well, all is well. It's Freedom Day. Freedom Day. Oh, my freedom day. I am free. So close your eyes and think of me dancing as the angels sing. Let your sorrow fade away, and I will sing. I'll see you on your freedom day. Freedom day. Free. Oh, my freedom day. I'm free. La 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 la. Free. I'll see you again, my friend. I will see you again, my friend. We'll sing la 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 la.
Of folks, I'm going to go first because I have the mic, to tell some stories about Chris. And I want to share there's so many that I could share, but I want to tell you my favorite story about him. I happened to see him on a Sunday, and this is when my kids were 3 and 4. My kids are here, they're 14 and 13 now, so 10 years ago. And I asked him, like, do you have any Santa Claus gigs happening? I'd love to have the kids come to see you. And he said, look, I'm going to be at Perkins on Tuesday night. This is perfect because every Tuesday night forever, my wife has taught a Zumba class, and I have the kids for dinner. So that Tuesday night, I take them to Perkins, and we're sitting in Perkins, and they can't see him. They're sitting in a booth, and he's had come in and sat over there. And so I knew he was sitting over there, and so I waited until we got up to go pay. And my youngest, Emmett, had gotten up and had gone up to the counter, and Chris says, hello, Emmett. And he goes, and he goes, you know my name? And he says, I'm Santa Claus. Of course I know your name. And he goes, how you doing, Jay? And he goes, you know my dad's name? And he goes, I'm Santa Claus. Of course, I know everybody's name. How you doing, Jay? And then Rose came over and he said, hi, Rose, how you doing? And my kids were just like this, right? And so Rose came home that evening, and when my wife Jessica came home, she made sure to tell her that I've seen Santa Claus one, but this one was the real one, right? Because he knew my name. And I believe you, Stan, he is the real deal Santa Claus. So I want to invite family members first, family members and family members who are best friends to take the mic first if you'd like to. But we would love to offer you an opportunity to share any brief stories or moments that you would like to share at this time, and we'll open it up for that. Not yet. So, Scott, come on up.
Thank you. Glad to see you guys all here. Didn't expect to be standing up here talking about Chris or Simon, as a lot of you know him. I've known Simon since I was a kid, since I was not quite an adult, but not quite a child. And him and I have shared all of my life's experiences. My getting married, having kids, making a family, having a career. And our relationship never suffered. He was the guy who would call you out of the blue just to tell you he loved you, to make sure that you knew that he loved you. Once you learned about Chris, and that Chris and Simon were two different people with the same heart, he became a lot easier to understand. And he was a big prickly teddy bear, but he had nothing, and he would give you everything he didn't have. He was very generous. He took people in. Heck, I slept on his couch for more months than I'm proud to admit. That was a long time ago. But he was an example of true friendship, who stood by me when I made good choices, who stood by me when I made bad choices. He would only judge me if it was appropriately hilarious. But seeing everybody here and the connections, there's families that wouldn't exist if it was without him. The man that introduced me to Chris is here, and we haven't seen each other in something measured in decades. So I just want to echo what has been said, that Chris was a man who improved the quality of my life. He improved the quality of my stories. And I'm honored to call him one of my best friends. I'm going to miss him, but every time we see Santa Claus, every time we see a motorcycle or a red cardinal, depending on how superstitious you are, think of him. He gave Christmas memories, as you're talking about, to my kids, who are all now older than we were when we met. And I kind of think we have an obligation to take the purity of the spirit of Santa, which was the embodiment of his love manifestation towards the world. And the world kicked that man's ass. If you don't know the stories, be grateful, but he was a survivor. And I learned a lot about how to be a survivor from him. And I will never look at a motorcycle the same, even my own. And I'll never look at Santa Claus the same, because he's as much part of Christmas as he is part of my heart. And I hope that that takes place for you guys. I love you, buddy. I'm going to miss you. Adios.
Anyone else?
I'm going to stay right here.
Okay, I can bring you the mic.
But, yeah, I knew him as Simon. Here. No, I don't need it. Can you hear me? Sure. Yeah. Okay.
He's got a deep voice.
But, I would like to add something about backgammon. Chris and I played backgammon like crazy, and we gambled. And I was just sharing with my daughter that there was a time window where Chris just simply couldn't beat me. He lost his motorcycle to me and his car to me while playing backgammon. And then I just had to remind my daughter that I
Right. Anybody else?
My favorite story about Simon is not even my own.
We stand up?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Santa. And Simon heard it from across the parking lot. And he said, hold on. And ran back, opened his trunk, and got a teddy bear. We still have that teddy bear. And when I heard that story later, I said, I know Santa. And he is Santa, and he is the coolest Santa in the world. And that, to me, is...
Does anybody know what his car was? But so those Unity people may not know about it. You can go ahead and share that.
It was a red...
1993 Chrysler LeBaron convertible that he cut the doors off and painted to look like a slave. My son's first car.
He cut the doors off of his car?
The neighbor took the doors off the car.
Yeah.
That's what the neighbor did. The neighbor took the doors off for him.
Yeah.
I had an almost identical car at one point, and I was like, that's a good car, Simon.
Yeah. And we were just talking about that, Stan and I were talking about this before. He would drive that car around town without doors, and he never got pulled over. Who's going to pull over Santa Claus? It was amazing. Yeah. First the Harley, if you know, people in town would say, do you know the Santa on the Harley? And but if it was just in the last, 15 years, then they would know the car. So, yeah, for sure. Other folks? Yeah. Do you want a mic?
My name is Hartman, and I drive a tow truck, years and years and years. And how I met Simon was on Lenard Street, and there was a whole bunch of cars that slid off in the ditch. And I was pulling them all out as I was coming up the road. And when I got to him, he got out of his car, his red car, with the convertible top down, snowing, bad. And he got out and goes, sir, I don't have no money. I was like, that's fine. I'll pull you out because I can't charge Santa. That's against the law. That's how I met Simon. And if anybody ever reads his Facebook, he's always talking bad about the guy with Oakland Raiders. Mom's Oakland Raiders. And he was a diehard Chiefs fan. And whether my team won or lost, he would harass me. He would call me and harass me. It just doesn't matter. He's one of a kind. Somebody you'll never meet like that.
That is a fact.
That is
Thank you.
definitely a fact.
Yes, sir.
I'm Lonnie. I grew up pretty much on this street, and I went to this school right over here every day after school. Because I was a roughie, and I would go to the pool hall or the bowling alley or the skate park, and I definitely read the handbook. And one of the rules is you're supposed to smoke the joint with Simon every time you see him. It was impossible not to pass his house, and I never did. I would go around. But years later, it turned out that I met Scott and Parrish and a lot of other wonderful people here too. But we had youngest here. She owns the Latchkey Deli. She's the queen of Foxy by Proxy, and her lips are tattooed on Simon's neck.
That's right.
He followed us on our tour. We went on a tour of 3 different cities. He got on his Harley and went to every single show.
Got a ticket for not wearing a helmet in 3 states.
He got kissed a couple times by different showgirls in different places, and he decided that one was permanent. That was an honor to me.
We were just talking about those lips a couple of weeks ago before. Seriously, the last time he came here, the last time he was here at church, he was telling me about that tattoo. Absolutely.
I'm the Chargers fan, Simon. And we would have a dollar bet every time. And he got to where he'd call me if he needed help, text me if he ever needed help. I get a text from Simon that says, call me, I need help. So I call him, and he goes, shit. The other one didn't come through. That's supposed to be 2 text messages. I go, what's the second message? He goes, I got a paper cut from this dollar I just won.
So you would play jokes on you, huh?
Oh, your heart sank. You're like, oh no. And the second Simon story was, that's how he introduced himself to me. Hi, I'm Simon. We're going to be friends. You have a Harley.
Nice.
So he calls me and he goes, dude, I'm in the hospital. I was like, well, I'll come see you. He You know how hard it is to find the person that doesn't tell you the real name? Their real name?
That's
I call them, like, there's nobody named Simon in the hospital. He goes, oh, we'll look for Chris Hartman. I go, well, who's that? He goes, that's me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sorry, I got another story.
No, keep going.
We used to meet at Perkins Coffee all the time, and then we switched over to IHOP. And one day I went to the restroom, I just got there, and I just walked straight to the restroom, and I came out, and Simon goes, the motorcycle's leaking. I'm like, oil? Or just, I don't know what it is. So I'm like, oh, well, and we'll just go ahead and eat breakfast, and I'll take it to the shop after we're done. So I went out there, paying my bill, and I looked back, we were parked right in front, and there was this white stuff under my motorcycle. Well, I drive a Kawasaki. He put a whole bunch of rice underneath my motorcycle.
Oh, no. Bad.
He goes, boy, I'm glad it was you. He goes, I don't think other people were taking that as funny. That was hilarious. But the thing is, he had a thing of rice in his saddlebag.
I was going to say, he always had the weirdest stuff with him. Either toys or, yeah, that's great. Yes. Oh.
It's another Simon Santa story. I'm gonna really miss his Christmas cards every year. I was gonna bring one by. This I might cry. Sorry. I was gonna bring mine by to see him and bring it to him because I hadn't gotten the mail in time. And then I saw Paris's post, and that's how I found out. So, but Chris and I met probably 30 years ago, and I met him because I was looking for some cheap weed. We just immediately, I mean, it was just, like we've known each other our whole lives when we got together. And I love the guy. He was my kid's Santa Claus. And we've got 2 sets of Irish twins, 7 years apart, and one of my daughters is kind of a shithead to her siblings. And, when they're kids, they torture each other. And so she broke it to the younger kids that that's not Santa Claus, that's Dad's pot dealer. And I was like, wow, what could be worse? At least they know Santa's real, he's just a stoner.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I met Chris through the post office when we had a post office box. And so we would talk all the time and things like that. And then one day after my late husband passed, he had a 1100 gold wing and everything was unsettled after he passed. And I went to Chris because the largest I could ride was a 750. And I said, Chris, I said, I need you to move this motorcycle from my son's garage into my garage until everything is settled. And he said, okay, I can do that. And so we went over there and did that. And he rode it over there. And as we're pulling into my drive, he says, still have your helmet? I said, yeah. And he said, well, he said, you better go get it because we're taking this baby for one last ride. And the other one is, a friend of his came into the post office. I worked at the front counter. And he said, you don't happen to know someone named Chris Hartman or Simon Warman? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, I'm a truck driver. I haven't seen him for years and years. And I've been trying to get in touch with him. He's been trying to get in touch with me. And he said, can you give me his phone number? And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to do that, Chris. But I said, I can give him your phone number. And Chris came in the next day with big front rows because he was not allowed those people to meet him.
Nice. Right on. Anybody else? One? Go ahead.
Met Chris out at the Flamingo. Otherwise known as Bird. I go out there often, and Chris would join
For the buffet, right?
the buffet.
Right.
He would come out every turn it to X-rated. He had a knack for that. And he called me, texted me about 2 weeks ago, and he said, "Hey, Dave, I lost your phone number." He texted me through Facebook and said, "Can you send it to me?" So I sent it to him, but I didn't get a response back. And so I tried texting him, and then I tried calling him, and I didn't get anything. I told my wife, I said, "There's something not right," because he wasn't feeling well the last few Fridays. So I knew something was up. So it's not a big surprise, but it is a big shock, and I'm very sorry to see my friend pass away.
Yeah. Probably have time for one more if there's anybody.
I think I want to share.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to hold together, guys.
Do you want a mic?
Ashley, no.
Okay.
I'm thinking. I just want to share that, through his ailing health, I'm a provider, so I was kind of there, and he would call me when he felt bad. And the calls came repeatedly, and over the last, few months. And
It's for sure. Thank you, Ashley. You know, in 2013, I was on the board or something like that, and I was in charge of volunteers. And I asked Chris if he would be a greeter because I thought, well, what better to represent this church than you walk in the door and you see Simon? And I'm like, that's what we want people to see. And he signed up to be a greeter the second Sunday of every month, and he never missed a second Sunday, ever. He was always there greeting for at least a year and a half. So he really put his foot in his membership here. Once he became a member, he was an active member. One of our unity tenets is that we access that divine love that some people call God through meditation and through prayer. And so before we go, I'd like to invite you all to join me for a very brief meditation. I do want to share that there was a time when we know that Chris was not feeling well and he was tired a lot. And so a lot of times in church, when we come to this part of meditation, and you're going to see it in a minute, we go into a moment of silence, right? And there'd be this moment of silence, and then a coming from the back. It was always Simon. Usually we wouldn't wake him up. So if you need a nap, this is also the time to do that. I'm just letting you know. We're going to call in all of our friends, and we'll feel Chris in this moment. I invite you to get comfortable in your seat. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Take another deep breath in. Let out. See if you can relax your face and your jaw. See if you can let go for a minute. Be in this moment and just listen to my voice. As we take this time, I invite you to focus on your heart area, your heart chakra, if you will. This is a place where spirit and human meet. Chris's heart was 10 times bigger than most, which is why, even though that sometimes human life gave him such pain, he could always manifest that love. So today, in this moment, we take time to connect to that love, that divine love that he is and has always been. As other thoughts filter through, let them just float on by. See if we can clear your mind and just listen. Listen for a wink or whisper, because he's here. If we get still, in that still place, that's where we know that love. And as we do, we go into the silence for just a moment and remember. And as we start to come back, I don't know if you heard that motorcycle, but I did. We come back into this room, having connected in, and letting him know how loved he is, and what a contribution he was to all of us. And we come back together, and in community we'll remember him as in community he lived. Thank you again for being here to share this moment and share this time. We're going to have some drinks downstairs, some light refreshments. And my understanding is all these Santa Clauses, these little figurines that are everywhere, that Stan would like each person to pick one. Is that accurate? To take one home with you.
There's still 12 more boxes of it somewhere.
So they have plenty of them.
There's a lot of them.
So they have a lot. So that's Chris's parting gift to you, to take that. And I know that you'll share more memories of him downstairs. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your time out during this busy season to celebrate his life with us. And we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Down the track, bright red suit and a great big pack. It's the boogie woogie Santa Claus. It's the boogie woogie Santa Claus. Well, it's the boogie woogie Santa gonna boogie your blues away. You know we got presents for your tree and candy for your sock. When he comes to town, well, the whole place rocks. The boogie woogie Santa Claus. He's the boogie woogie Santa Claus. Well, he's the boogie woogie Santa gonna boogie your blues away. Everybody cruise away.